Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the second week of the Duckling Derby learning phase here. This week we are in uh, DD 102, which is the Punch Mage. I'm joined in the booth here by ADR. How are you doing, ADR?
Well, hello. I'm looking forward to seeing the race. It's after winter tournament. I've been taking some time off, so it's fun to get back in and see it again.
Well, I know, because you won our last tournament, if I remember correctly.
Oh
So,
no, Deadpool's had something to say about that.
so second then, but certainly, yeah, a well-deserved break for a while away from the madness that is Final Fantasy Randomizer. We do have Hate the 13th on Restream and Help It Out Trucking, and JLo7 on Trucking as well. Today, my fellow ducklings we will be watching is Kumo, Odoron, Herbie B, and DM Stewart. And so, as you said, I am honestly super looking forward to this as well. So
I've seen some really good times out of these players in practice races just watching the Discord. So they're they're gonna be a force to be reckoned with tonight.
yeah, um, probably a pretty quick seed here too. We have no loose items tonight. You are forced to take a black belt, which is probably one of the only times I'm going to get to say that sentence in a commentary booth. And we have thief lock picking on. We have some extra experience for the black belt. I'm trying to think through anything else that's away from standard for our runners here. Oh yeah, the big thing is going to be vanilla trap time. So as soon as we start, in fact, right now, we know where our best grinds are, and they are in the volcano and the ice cave.
Or on the overworld. And black belt strats are all about finding a good grind that you can pick up quickly. And if the encounter table cooperates, you might be able to pick up some T-Rex or some Tyro or some Sandworms in the desert and use tents to make it a safe, quick grind. And so the players are going to keep their eyes open for that if it all happens out.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always the possibility of eating some delicious steak and getting all beefed up. Um, and a particular focus last night. And if you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to watch the VOD from the lecture last night, Duckling Derby 102. That was run by Phoenix and commentated by Saracen. Was an excellent time. Also, it's pretty short. I'm pretty sure the seed took about 40 minutes. So, I don't know if we'll have quite that jetty a seed this time among our ducklings here, but certainly, probably not the longest sort of seed that we have here.
We just dropped the gate. They're going to be going off in about 15 seconds.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if anybody's going to visit the weapons store here in Corneria.
So
Um,
when you're running black belts, you don't really need weapons nor armor. You can viably step all of it, and you can step all but the incentive chest too. And that's one of the techniques you can do to really shave time off of a run.
yeah, absolutely. Although I will say that I did roll a seed of this where there were no um there were no offensive spells in level 1, and so I did have to buy a sword from my thief. But, for the most part. Oh wow, here we go. Lit and fire. And
But
locked. And
we
fast.
also see fast and we see exit. And those are going to be very nice spells to have. Exit will get you out of the dungeons very quickly as you pick up incentive items. And fast is going to make that black belt twice as effective.
Yeah, absolutely. You could probably get through Garland just with a black belt on fast. It may take you a few rounds, but certainly within the realm of possibility. But yeah, so runners all kind of predictably following the same path here, checking the spells, going up to visit Garland. We see Kumo's going to check the chests in here, as is Ardon, but DM Stewart goes right to Punch Town here. against Garland.
Oh, did you see a light axe pickup? That can be your early magic if you have a white mage, because the harm hurts all flag can make that do damage to everybody.
Oof. And our punch mage goes down on DM Stewart's side. And I noticed that at least Herbie has taken a white mage here who can actually equip that axe too, based on our blessings, and also started with Invis 2. Whereas the red mage has Hurt Dragon and plus 10 hit percent. Black mage started with Teleport Magic, so has probably Exit and Warp. And then the black belts started with an additional hit percent, which is always nice to see, and some luck. Thief starting with some hit points and some agility. And the fighter that nobody took has heal magic and resist. I don't remember what LSI is.
Lightning status ice.
Status, that was the one I was missing. I always forget that status is. It's easy to forget. Oh, and it looks like helpfully Garland took care of a couple of our mages for us. So, not really too bad considering it concentrates the experience there on our punch mage, making them even punchier than before.
The difficult thing about black belt though is they are so weak at the beginning of the game. They really need that support to get off the ground. Until they hit level 16, 18-ish, they're going to be, well, with the plus 20 hit percent, maybe a little bit sooner. But they're going to be really dependent on the party to keep them, really to do much of anything. And then once they hit that, then they really just take off to the moon.
Yeah, I feel like it's extremely exaggerated as far as the as far as that sort of weighting goes, right? Because most flags have this sort of progression from magic into melee at the end of the game, but the black belt kind of takes that and turns it up to 10, I feel like, where at the end of the game it's all black belt all the time if you're running one.
Yeah. So we did see Lit 3 there, Black Magic level 2. That is going to be really your killing magic for a good chunk of the seed.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Odoron didn't gain enough levels on the Black Mage to spike that one cast of Lit 3 to really kind of take care of these pirates, which I think Odoron was sort of counting on happening here as we decide to sort of change our strats a little bit. Pirates still shouldn't be a huge problem, although they have managed to take out the Red Mage.
No, it just feels bad to spend more than 10 seconds on them, really.
It feels bad to give them a second round for sure. Like, oh, and Kumo figuring out the key here to use that to have the white mage use that light axe to cast harm and get rid of the problem on the high seas here. And Vicky is holding our crystal, so we got Adamant Crown from our friends in the castle, and it looks like Kumo had already gone to Smith and turned in the Adamant and has received the slap.
And we saw a key for sale there in Provoker, only between 5,000 and 6,000 gold. That's a relatively early pickup, and that is going to open up the Canaria Locked incentive chest as well. And so there's a lot of benefits to be had going left. Canaria Locked, Crystal, Adamant, and well, the crown is going to require either a ship or a canoe to get to, because that river is there blocking off the walking access. But nevertheless, it's going to open the sea right up.
Oh, and it looks like, to your point, Matoya's holding the canoe, so we're just being funneled into having a lot of these early game sort of fetch questy items pay off for us here on the inner sea, which is going to make it nice for our runners to probably all hopefully end up close to the same sort of place there. Looks like Odoron is doing enough grinding to get a level 2 spell charge to take care of those pirates here.
I also want to note that there's a 10% per item experience scaling bonus. So each time you pick up a key item, it's going to be plus 10% EXP, which makes those grinds that much quicker. And so any item you can pick up, do it as soon as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially things like the adamant and the crystal end up being free checks, right? You don't have to get through a fight. There's not sort of a damage or level check there. It's just go to the right place and turn in the right item. So always a little bit of an advantage there.
Astos is putting up a fight before he hands over that herb. It's resisting the quadrats, or at least having more than 300 hit points.
Yeah, and Herbie's managed to take care of 2 of them, or 200 hit of those hit points. So, well, looks like Astos is a little bit beefy today. That Black Mage on his knees there, but I would expect Astos to sort of give in. Uh-oh, that's not good. And our Black Mage goes down, which means that they'll miss the experience, but should still be able to get through those.
Astos can be really quite a tough battle when you're fighting early level and you don't have a high level magic. Herbie just got through it, but you notice it did take a little bit of time.
Yep, and receive the herb, which is just going to path us back to the Elfland and get to see some level 3 and 4 magic, and maybe that'll help us here. Looks like the at least on Herbie's side, kind of got spell levels to support that. There's Fire 3, not a bad one to pick up. And then on White Magic, we've got Invis 2 being probably one of the better items there, or better spells there to pick up.
Invis 2 being a freebie on these white mages, and when you have a black belt, you want the fight to be over before you have time to stack Invis anyway. And so that's not going to see a whole lot of utility in these flags. But Temper, that's always a nice spell to see.
Temper is, if we do have scaling set today to 200 to 300% on bosses, so that black belt will have some HP to get through it. Probably don't need the temper, but it's always nice to see.
Odrin's doing the pop grind to pick up that key cache.
Yeah, absolutely. Always a good strategy to remember if you're kind of struggling. Most problems in the rando can be solved with levels, so always kind of nice to see this one come up as a strategy. I do love that the life casts, when you do them in battle, it says slain and then the person stands up. It's kind of
Yes.
my favorite feature.
So we just saw a ship out of that elf prince, but without canal, there's not a whole lot of places to go. So that means either going down to marsh or taking the canoe over to the ice and Crescent Lake areas to pick up the next item. And when you have exit, marsh is a pretty obvious play.
Yeah, with access, with at least a few of our runners, actually all of them having access to both warp and exit, makes ice a significant amount less scary. You still do have to get through some trap tiles. But would you visit ice and attempt to do your grind? Because I don't know if we really have the levels for that yet, but I'd love to hear your opinion.
So I do like to take the grind if I'm in the area anyway. You just saw Canal. That is up
There's
in
Canal.
Canaria locked, so that is behind that key, which is for sale in Provoca. But if I go to ice, you know the eye is going to be there due to vanilla trap tiles. And it feels bad to take the walk in there and not go ahead and take some levels on that. But a black belt is you have to not only survive the eye, you have to be ready to take off step encounters. Because as you step left and right to take it again, you can hit another instance of the fight. We just saw loot down in marsh. That's not useful right now. We'll need that for endgame. But then also, after you get your levels, you gotta get out of ice. And that means going down the hole, going through the undead pack, and walking your way to the exit. So there can be quite a bit of risk going into that. And unless you're prepared to really take the black belt right up maximum level at that point. So I would put off ice as long as you can.
Yeah, and kind of depending on the routing that our runners decide. Um, oh, and Odoron, I don't know who had Stone Touch there for him, but finally taking care of Garland, um, you know, gained quite a decent number of levels, got that key, can one stop Corneria Castle, which is I think the first time I've seen this, and it's very nice.
Yeah, there's a Zombull that had the Stone Touch there. Stone Touch is something that I don't mind seeing because you can use a soft potion to pick them back up. So it's like they're dead, but they're also available at any time you want them.
And it looks like DM Stewart has gotten over to our drum circle at Crescent Lake and has found the floater. So not really vanilla, but sort of in the vanilla area here, and DM Stewart starts that ice dive. See what his strategy is here.
Saracen and Hay over in chat are pointing out that save on game over is turned on, meaning that if you take a wipe, that's fine. It's going to save you, and you do not lose those levels. And so that's one of those flags where I often forget to check it, as you noticed just now. I did not take a look at that. But if it's on, it can change the strategy significantly. That makes that ice dive a lot less scary.
Yeah, I mean, it's at this point you'd probably just use it as poor man's exit, like just show the dragon your shiny whatever you're holding, and or the eye or the ghouls or whatever that, and get your kind of free warp back to wherever you last saved.
Yeah.
um, Certainly makes putting down our characters pretty easy too. And one of the features that's nice about both of the grinds that we've been talking about, or that we generally talk about, the Agama and the Eye, is that they have these nice little damage tiles here that we see DM Stewart kind of running over a little bit. You only really take 1 hit point per step, but it's easier than trying to get your party killed off in sort of random battles on the map.
Yeah, it's a really good move to just walk back and forth. When you fight something like an eye, it can take a huge amount of time just to take the characters down. So that's a smart play to do.
Absolutely. And Odoron, happy to keep that thief stoned, which is intriguing to me because it seems like a really good idea that I'd never thought of until I'm seeing them do it. Because they're still taking up slots.
Yeah.
I presume they don't get experience then.
Yeah, when they're stoned, it's like they're dead, except they're revived by soft potion instead of by spell.
Yeah. So, quite kind of making some lemonade out of lemons, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. So Odoron in Elfland, Kumo about to find his floater here from the sages. Kirby checking the armor store in +5 glove is not obviously terrible here. Mages can definitely use that sort of thing. But yeah.
So a +5 glove, I think, is only sits absorb. I don't think it's likely that that's going to make a big difference in any particular fight. Um, if you pick one up, sure, pick it on, but I would not spend a whole lot of time picking that up. It's just not really worth leaving the menu in time, if you ask me.
Oh, and we've got the eye grind here started for DM Stewart. Moving the rest of the party up front should, in theory, in the code, make them get hit more often. Of course, it doesn't actually work because in practice, the game always does what you don't want it to. But you know, we're trying.
So you notice the Punch Man there is doing pretty good damage just on level 15. Already sits hits thanks to that plus 20 hit percent bonus. And the eye is going down pretty quick. So seeing Brack on that eye might be beneficial, because if it stones a couple of those mages, you can focus your EXP that much easier.
Yeah, I missed if we have like a pro ring or something to avoid it. Would make this a lot more appealing. But
So
again, the eye really kind of doing work.
One of the big benefits of the black belt is they also get +4 magic defense per level, and that can very quickly add up to make them, by the time they're level 40-ish, it's very similar to a ribbon in the amount of defense they get against those spells. And it also helps to reduce the damage, because more magic defense means that it's more likely that a spell will not double its damage by critting you.
Yeah, absolutely. And as long as you're not wearing the armor, the black belt operates best naked, right? No armor. Nunchucks are kind of okay if you need to get them through the early game, but in the randomizer, that involves finding them. So typically people don't bother. But and then the armor, you get your evade, you get your magic evade, and you're gonna do pretty well.
And remembering save on game overs on, even if you do wipe mid grind, that's okay. You just take what you got, move on, and pick up the next thing you see.
Yep.
So over on Kumo's side, we saw a volcano armory dive, and there is a Masa in there, which is a beautiful weapon to see. But when you're running black belt strats, a weapon's useful until you get to that online level point, and then you're gonna take it off and punch anyway. And so checking those chests, a lot of the more experienced black belt players, they might go through a whole seed and only open a single digit number of chests, because all you need are the incentives, and maybe you'll grab a greed chest on the way. Some EXP chests to turn on here, but that's the equivalent of just one fight when you're in a grind. And so a lot of the black belt players are just gonna walk past everything.
Yeah. I noticed that DM Stewart left and reset and is coming back in. So we will see what happens. They per the tracker, he did get the bottles, so I guess just resetting the grind there.
I believe that was actually a wipe, but the save on game over will revive your party.
That's right. That's right. See, it's easy to forget the flag in the 10 minutes since the last time we talked about it. So. Oh, and DM Stewart falling down the hole, grinding his party down here by walking back and forth on the damage tiles, and then we'll presumably warp back up and encounter our friend the Eye.
Now, Kumo is opting for the Agama in Volcano. The Agama does not give you as much experience points as the Eye, but because it's 2 trap tiles, you can hit your up, down, keep stepping on it, and possibly shave off just a wee bit of time in avoiding those off-step encounters. So it's also a pretty effective grind.
Yeah, it's safe. I said the bottle today, which will probably end up being, well, which might end up being needed, but you're always the other thing is you're always going to have to go into volcano, or on most seats you're going to have to go into volcano to win the game. So it has that advantage too, that you're not going into ice just to grind, which is probably distasteful for some of our friends. But it looks like Odoron's making the ice dive as well. Probably going to kind of follow the same path here, and has caught up remarkably, and does have pretty good levels on most of his party there. So really kind of nice to see the different strategies kind of converge here. Starting the grind now, while DM Stewart, I would say, is in the middle to the latter half of it, but both of them kind of opting for this grind, where Herbie's looking for some steak, or looked like he was looking for some steak, but is instead coming down to the volcano.
So the overworld grind, if you have a quick fight off the hard reset, and for people watching for the first time, hard reset is when you would turn the power off and back on, it clears the game's memory. So that way you have a consistent starting point. So anytime it pulls a random battle, it's actually just a list in the ROM. So as long as you've reset, you're going to be getting the same thing over and over again. And up in the desert, there's 4 zones, not too far from the Mirage Tower, that you can save, hard reset, and check that first fight. And if it happens to be one of the high value items, you can take it, fight, tent, reset, and just repeat that process to pick up some quick levels. And that's another thing black belt players, they get pretty good at getting a quick look at those. If the T-Rex shows up, that's the most experience points you can get in anything other than a war mech. And it's going to get you those levels very quickly. But then if it's not there, the rando decide to shuffle in something like an Ankilo. You don't want to take those. So you check it and then walk away if it's not what you're looking for.
Yeah, having 4 zones and 4 checks is great, though, with that short walk off the hard reset. And just to kind of expand on what AR there was describing, the randomizer works, or the encounters work by determining the number of steps you can take until you get an encounter again, but only certain steps count. So that's why you see people in the volcanoes, for instance, walking on the damage dials, because the damage dials don't count on that counter. And then once you get that encounter, it goes to the next reading and reads the next number of steps you can take. So if you're good, you can actually determine when your encounters will be all throughout the seed off of a hard reset. And but sometimes it's advantageous to soft reset if you get a bad encounter and you want to skip it several steps off of your tent. So both are extremely useful and used a lot in most seeds.
On Kumo's screen, we see that Black Belt is now doing 10 hits a turn to the Agama. That's going to, thanks to the plus 20 hit percent bonus, that can go as high as 12 hits per round if he wants to take it all the way up to maximum level. But at this point, that's probably enough to finish the seed. But once you start a grind, sometimes you just want to stay in there and take it to the moon. And the way damage works on melees is every 32 hit percent points you have, you get another swing at the enemy. And if that is going to connect, then that counts as a hit, and you keep trying for each one of the swings. So when you pick up a 12 hits, that's like 12 times your base damage. So it can add up really, really fast and do, as you're seeing, thousands of damage if it happens to land and do some criticals too.
Yep. And I believe only the black belt works this way, but the black belt, if unarmed, gets double the number of hits, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So that's why we see it coming in 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, which since you're gaining levels and you're gaining strength and damage too, works as almost an exponential curve for the black belt from the early game to the late game.
So you see Kumo decided to walk away at level 42. Level 42 is when you, without blessings, would hit that last breakpoint where you get the 10 hits. And since we have a plus 20 hit percent blessing in this seed, it came 5 levels early, and you can actually pick up one more if you wanted to keep going. But as you go through the seed, you'll pick up a few more experience points anyway, so it may very well hit that max level by the time we see the end boss here.
Yeah, and hate pointing out that I'm wrong, and strength isn't even taken into account to the calculation, which I guess I learned today, because I assumed that it did.
Yeah, the black belt's damage is directly related to their level, so strength is only used if a
Oh,
weapon
okay.
is equipped.
Okay, so it works the same way. It's just it's not the
Yeah.
same.
Their defense power, the absorbed, is also directly tied to their level, so they don't need to equip armor. And in fact, equipping armor is going to hurt their defense once they reach a certain level. So you see naked black belts just going in, swinging their fists.
Yep. And Kumo's powered up and is going to punch the heck out of things here in the Marsh Cave, which will be great. Looks like DM Stewart is done as well and is.
Now, one more benefit of high levels is if you put that grinded up black belt in the first position, the monsters decide to run based on the level of the top player in your party. So if you go into one of these early fights, they look at some level 40 black belt in the top slot, they're going to run away, and that can save you a good amount of time too.
Yeah, it saves you a great amount of time, and it also can kind of save your party if you have, for instance, let's just say ghosts that have crack or something.
Absolutely.
You know, they will decide to run away instead of trying to kill you, which is always beneficial. Getting their slab translated. DM Steward heading into ordeals, which is always a good time.
To finish this game, they have to light all 4 orbs, and those require a rod in the case of earth, an oxtail in the case of water, and a cube and a chime in the case of air. And then they also must have key and loot to make the way to the final boss. So there's a number of locations incentivized by the randomizer, and what that means is that it's decided to place an important item in that location guaranteed. And this Castle of Ordeals, the Marsh Cave, the Ice Cave, and the NPCs, and then the Carnaria locked chest are all those incentive locations. So you want to go in there, pick up the items, get those required ones to light the orbs, and make your way to the boss. And that's what, with the grind done, that's what we're going to see all these players start doing.
Yep. It's generally possible to skip a bunch of key items depending on what the randomizer decides. It kind of depends on the randomizer's whims, unfortunately, but it is indeed possible to come out, with 5, 6, 7 items pretty easily. Also, Thief Lockpicking is on at level 15 in the seed, so you can actually fade that key if that's something you decide to do. With it on sale for 5k in Provoca, it's probably a better use of your time just to buy it, but in other seeds that you run, it would be useful to keep that in mind, and is indeed probably why most of the people took a Thief this time.
That carry just survived a punch for 1000 damage. Not a second punch, but a first one, showing how this boss scaling can really make these bosses into at least a force to be reckoned with temporarily.
Yep. Um, Probably means that Carrie rolled pretty high on that end of the sort of range that we have set up on this seed for boss scaling, kind of towards that 300% to get that 400 up to 1200. But what are we watching? So this is Final Fantasy Randomizer, which is a randomizer for the original Final Fantasy game for the NES. It randomizes all the key items in an open world style similar to other randomizers that you may have seen. It does fix quite a few bugs that are in the game. There are probably more bugs than features in this game. And kind of there's some balance patches. Actually, the randomizer is flush with options that you can randomize the game with. What this specific event is sort of our duckling boot camp, where duckling is sort of our community's name for newer runners like myself who don't have a lot of tournament experience or just want to learn kind of the ins and outs of the randomizer. We are on week 2 of the boot camp, or boot camp 102 as we're calling it, which is all about the ways to use the black belt to beat seeds. So, DM Stewart approaching the blockiest of roadblocks, or the roadiest of roadblocks here, the vampire, which will disappear here right before our eyes. Missed his opportunity to do anything to the bunch page, and you're gone. If you do decide, Daedry, to play the vanilla game, we do have an improved vanilla, which fixes a lot of bugs, lowers the encounter rate, a couple other things that it does that I can't think of offhand, but that would be great for you to get started with, and is recommended. And in the links that Mubot sent, the wiki kind of has a nice path for onboarding new players. So it's a lot of fun. One of the major things is that we keep the random encounters on, so you can you can get an encounter anywhere, and it makes the randomizer quite interesting. At least most of the time. Again, there's a flag for almost everything. And DM Stewart making short work of Lich as well. I didn't even see Lich's spread on the screen, just the orb lighting itself, and his 2 orbs here, tied with Odoron for a number of orbs completed. Looks like Stewart is going to do his herb turn in while Odoron dives into the water shrine here. Going straight for Kraken, as we would expect. There are a couple chests in here that are strictly free that we may see some runners pick up, but there's honestly no reason to do so.
Yeah, each chest check is going to cost you about 2 seconds a time, and that can add up quite quickly. You pick up 20 so-called free chests, and you're almost a minute back from where you otherwise would have been. And so, if it's not something you need, walking past the chest, that's one of the easiest ways to improve your time when you're learning this game.
Yep. And at least in my opinion, in this specific flag set, one of the best things you can find in chests is experience anyway. Which you can get other ways guaranteed to find with your time. So yeah, Odoron peeking in that room but not going in is probably a good decision. We're putting that thief back up front. I wonder if we're getting surprised a whole bunch. That is the other thing that the front character controls, is whether or not you get surprised by whatever encounter that you encounter. And so the thief with the highest it's either agility or luck, I don't remember, kind of avoids that for you.
Kraken 1 also rolled over 1,000 hit points, but not over 2,000 as the black belt takes it down.
Yeah, that would be actually, I guess, impossible for the Kraken to have survived two of those punches at over 1,000, but if Odoron got severely unlucky, it may have taken through that, as we see tonight. So now Odoron needs to find the chime. So we're going on a chime hunt. Ah, there we go. Never mind. We found the chime. I don't know how you get a bell out of explosives, but apparently it's possible.
Oh, Narek is just picking stuff up.
He
So
found it.
in
Found it in
any
the
other
wall.
seed, any other seed, seeing a Katana +4 and a Pyro Bonk in a free chest like that would be something to rejoice over. But a black belt, you don't need either of them.
Nope. And I mean, everybody's got a thief, and we might not even promote. We haven't seen the tail yet. At this point, I don't expect to, because Odoron is in go mode, and so is Herbie, and both and Kumo has the tools to be in go mode once they visit the dwarves again, which will probably be the next stop. So, very much, probably not going to see that tail. Can't equip the katana. It's fine. You could sell it for money if you needed money, but who needs money?
So the tail is not incentivized in this flag set because it's focused on the black belt, and the black belt is better unpromoted. The original game design tried to kind of balance the unpromoted and promoted magic death growth, but in the randomizer, you unless you change the flag, and you can change almost anything you say about the Final Fantasy 1 randomizer, there is a flag to change the rules. We have, I think, 150 flags in this game to change all the settings. But the black belt is going to get better magic defense growth and the same everything else than the promoted master. So promoting actually is not really worth it in these flags either. And as such, the tail is not incentivized, meaning that it's just randomly placed loose somewhere. And the hint giver said it's in C, but you don't know which bots, and it's just not worth tracking it down.
Oh, certainly not. Even if our runners found it, to your point, I don't know that anybody would even bother. It takes a little while too. You got to walk all the way to Bahamut, which doesn't take forever, but it's time you could lose. I've seen people lose races in that amount of time. So,
Yeah, and to answer chat, it is a race we're doing here. And so anything you can do to shave off a little bit of time relative to your competition is going to give you an advantage. And whether it's a few seconds or a few minutes, that can end up making a difference and putting you in a better position. We have 4 players on stream racing and a few more off stream, all playing together tonight.
yep. So Kumo encountering the bumpiest of speeds, or however we want to put that. And Odoron is about to enter Topher here at 40 and a half minutes, which is a pretty good time for the ducklings again, as we call, myself included, as we call the people who are newer to the game or just with not as much race experience. So, and this is the other eye that we don't like to see, but since it's vanilla, we won't see it.
So it's easy to get overconfident when you have a black belt going into Topher. You assume you can just hold A and punch your way through anything. And that's usually true, but not always. Sometimes you can get surprised by even a random pack of ambushy things who cast nasty spells and punch you down. And so the game's never over until it's over.
Yep. Um, Topher always has this property that it doesn't even have to be one of the boss refights. Something can just have something random that just wipes your party, and you won't have any control over it. You may not even know. Um, but it just can happen, and you just kind of have to get back on the horse and try again, and not let it phase you. While Odoron here approaches the first of the refights, the least scary, the one we make fun of here, Lich 2. But, Lich 2 could be scary.
In the original game, Lich 2 would open with a nuke spell, and thanks to the script shuffle, that nuke can end up anywhere else among the high level bosses. And so that tends to weaken Lich, but could very well strengthen one of the future things. Nuke does between 2 and 400 damage to every member of your party. So when you're sitting with 983 hit points, then you're not too scared of it, but it can easily wipe down Mage Lab Black Belt standalone.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that we do not have a life caster. The red mage is already dropped off. So it's a particularly scary kind of place to be in all honesty. In Topher, the life spell kind of being your get out of jail free for those kind of nasty things that we were just talking about happening. So, but we'll see. Sometimes you just kind of make it through.
So I want to call out DM Stewart is against Tiamat, got fast off on the black belt, did 22 hits over 2,000 damage. That is a power of fast. It gives you twice the number of hits, and that can double your damage instantly.
And our black mage goes down, so we are going to be fastless on Tia 2 and Chaos here. So we'll see how this goes. Tia 2 taking one punch, giving him one punch out.
Tia is hitting hard.
Yeah, that was good turn order here. Because Tia probably could have taken out that black belt depending on what Tia's damage range ended up being.
Yeah, one more hit could have done it.
Yeah. So in this so far, drinking up all of those heal pots that we bought. There is no heal pot scaling in this game. Heal pots always heal 30 points of damage no matter what.
That's out of battle. In battle, they can do a little bit more.
Yeah, but they but they also take your turn, and I don't even think they're as good as a heal spell there, if I remember correctly.
There's Cure 1 in battle.
Okay. It's like, oh, Chaos didn't have any hit points today.
Well, that was about 3,000 damage done very quickly there. But
Yeah.
GG's.
GG's to Odoron, who is our first finisher on stream with an official time of 44 minutes and 46 seconds. Ahead of Odoron off stream, I believe these are mostly non-ducklings finished ahead of him. We have Shenanigan in first place at 39.30, Fryteeth at second place with 40.39, Ale in third place with 41.52, and Pickles and Beer in fourth place with 43.39. We will see if Odoron wants to come and have a chat with us while we watch the rest of our duckling friends finish.
Yeah, all those top 4 players have been playing for some time, and anytime you're in a race against them, your odds of winning just went way down. They're very good. And so being within just a few minutes of them, that's a really good result for Odoron here tonight.
Yep. Yeah, especially if you're in a race against, let's say, you, Shanigan, ale and pickles and beer and fried teeth, you're probably not eating. So it's just not gonna happen for you. But we'll see as DM Stewart and Kumo, everybody else is in there. Topher dives here. Didn't quite catch her, but as we wait here. The fast went off before the punch this time, and Lich went down to 2,300 points damage. It's just insane the sort of things you can get up to with an extremely high-powered black belt. And we are joined in the booth by Odron. GG's.
Thanks. That was a rough start.
It did seem to be a little bit rough on you. I did like the strategy of going to the Peninsula Power, though.
That was a rough start.
Zombies, and then just keeping the Thief Stone for the rest of the
Yeah, I mean, I saw the Keeper sale, so the Thief kind of lost its usefulness at that point.
Yep. So,
that eye, though.
Oh, the eye with Brack?
Yeah. That scared me.
Yeah, it kind of scared us too until we forgot and then remembered and then forgot and then remembered that Save on Game Over was on. So, at very least, you can just get back up and try again.
Yeah, I try to avoid that though, because it brings everyone back up.
Yeah, it's not the best. It's there for you. But yeah, you are actually our first duckling to finish in this race. So congratulations! It's a really great position to be in. We saw you struggling kind of in the beginning, not having that spell level for the pirates, and
yeah, I forgot about getting an extra level before doing that.
Yeah, and there's and then, but you were. DM Stewart is the first one on camera who started an eye grind, and you started your eye grind with the same number of items or more as him. So you caught back up extremely quickly once you got those levels and bought that key. And you just had a much different route than probably most of the rest of our on-camera friends.
Did they not try and find a sweeper before taking out Garland? Because I was the only one who did that?
Correct.
Oh, okay. I mean, it kind of flowed well in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it went great for you. I'm not... It, obviously, I mean, you did remarkably well, so... And GG's to DM Stewart, who was our second on-camera finisher and in 7th place overall, with an official race time of 48 minutes and 56 seconds. Ahead of them is Guardian Marcus finishing in 6th overall with an official race time of 48:43 minutes.
That 7th and 8th place finishing, though.
Right? 2 seconds? Yeah. We were actually just talking about how, kind of checking those so-called free chests can always be a little bit of a thing. So...
Yeah, after that start, I didn't want to try to do any chests.
Yeah. It was, I mean, most people did pretty well. There was a Katana +4 and a Mass, so yeah.
Oh, wow.
And Herbie and Kumo came in just 1 second apart in their dueling chaoses. GG's to all 4 players tonight.
Absolutely.
GG, guys. 4 people getting really close finishes.
Yep, and so right after DM Stewart, we had Thavian Hawk, who finished in 8th place with official race time of 48:58. And on camera, we had Herbie finishing with an official time of 50 minutes and 1 second. And then Kumo finishing basically at the same time of 50 minutes and 2 seconds in 10th place. So, GG's. We will see if any of our other duckling friends want to come chat about their experiences with the seed, because I'd be interested to hear you and some of the others trade notes, given your much different kind of routings through the seed. And we have been joined in the booth by Kumo, Gigi's Kumo, and
GG.
and Fabian joined us as well, not on
GG,
camera,
guys.
but no stranger to the comms.
Howdy, y'all. Good race, y'all.
Good quiz.
And we're also joined in the booth here by Herbie. So GG's Herbie.
GG's.
Hey Kumo.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good here. So Odoron, why don't you tell Kumo how your early game started? And Herbie, you're on mute, according to
Oh man, my early game was awful. I saw that light axe in the top left of Temple of Fiends. I tried to take Garland out with just the fires, it didn't work. So I decided to try and take the axe over to Provoca to sell and get sweepers. I forgot to get extra levels and then ended up resetting back to Temple of Fiends and did it all over again.
Oh no.
I saw the key in Provoca though, so I went to Peninsula Power, got the money, grabbed the key, and everything else just flowed after that.
Nice.
I ended up not getting the key.
Yeah.
I just used my thief to get around.
Yeah, two of our on-screen players opted for the key. Two of you did not. So,
I just did a small grind for the key.
Did anyone else try and kill Garland with just the light axe as a caster item?
I did.
Yes.
yeah, I think it worked.
It worked.
Took me 2 attempts.
Yeah, it was a light axe and a bunch of punching.
I took thief, black belt, black mage, white mage.
Same.
Same here.
I did Thief, Black Belt, Red Mage, Black Mage, just to guarantee the fast and tempers if I needed them.
The scary part for me was I lost the black belt right in Tia 2, so I had a man mode chaos. Didn't have faster temper.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, I got the Chaos with just the Black Belt as well. Tia 2 made sure of that.
Well, starting in Temple of Fiends Revisited, Carrie punched out my white mage, and then Kraken punched out my thief, and then Tia punched out my black mage.
So, if I may, I have a question for my fellow ducklings here, and we'll go in finishing order if you don't mind. What's one thing that you think you're going to bring into your next game to improve
Like in the same flag set or overall?
on? Take your pick. It's an open question. Just in the
Uh,
spirit of learning, I'm trying to.
Well, I've been trying to minimize my menu and battle times. That opening run was amazing, by the way.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna try to keep that up, reminding myself to use a tent or cabin now and then to keep that run going and not encounter stuff and try and get some reduced time that way. Otherwise,
Awesome.
just don't forget to save after running to provoke them.
Yeah, forgetting to save it though is somewhat problematic. How about Fabian?
Remember where the incentive items are instead of trying to go to the red D chest or the sky chest and oh, no, I didn't need to route there. Also, banana peels and ice cave really suck. Gave up half my grind on the eye tile and ended up just taking the Agama for the rest of the way.
Well, there was an option with an SDI. You can find.
The
sit
eye was
together.
cheap, or it was very thin.
I opted for the Agama once I got one of my characters turned to stone. I was like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah. I mean, stone's not too bad sometimes, though. I guess Kumo, since you and Herbie are almost tied, why don't you, what do you think you're going to take into your next soup?
I have to figure out where I can chop off time because I'm losing time somewhere. I'm not 100% sure where. So I'll have to.
Well, you can definitely watch this one back and kind of compare between the other people, and then listen to Pratter on and listen to ADR get good advice.
A few things to look at. At the end of the game, there's a thing where it gives you stats, tells you how many barrels you got, how many chests you opened. And when you're in the menu and you hit select, looking at someone's status, you can pull some of that information up too. One thing Shanagan did, who took first place off stream tonight, is he only opened 10 chests in that entire seed. And when you're playing black belts, you often don't really need the items, so that's one place you can probably shave down a minute or two.
Yeah, I dove Volcano Armory and I pulled the Massa.
I passed up on every chest in Volcano except for the Red D chest I thought I needed. Same with Sky and the Sky Incentive chest. Had every chest in C. And yeah, I basically didn't touch any Fiend Dungeon chests that I didn't think I needed to.
I think I was pretty good with chess, but I'm definitely going to want to look back at this. I mean, this was... I think I may have done one black belt seed before. I think generally, though, just trying to work on encounter manipulation, that really wasn't a deal on this seed because you kind of could just run anywhere. The hero run was amazing. But that's something I think just when the hero run isn't like that, I know encounter manipulation is one of my biggest challenges.
And one of the best players at Encounter Manip I've ever seen is Dead Pulse. And Dead Pulse offers the VOD review where you can play a seed, send it to him, and he'll play it too, and then do a little broadcast going over where he thinks there's some areas for improvement. And if you get a chance, uh, go ahead and ask him for one of those, and you can learn a lot. And believe me, Dead Pulse is very, very good. He can beat just about any of us on most days.
I installed that timer. I think that's really helpful. I actually did one of those, but it was I think it just, if you look at the timer and then also the end game stats, you can really just, and especially if you can compare that to someone else looking at another kind of run side by side, it suddenly starts to hit you as to, oh my goodness, and you could just start cutting minutes off that way.
Yeah, when you're playing a black belt too, you don't need weapons. And even if you're playing fighters, weapon stores often aren't really worth the time to hop into. Sometimes they are, but more often than not, you're gonna get a better weapon in a chest anyway. And so when you're spending time in weapon, armor, even magic stores, a lot of times you're in there just looking. And when you're playing a randomizer for fun, part of the fun, at least to me, is to see where everything landed up, see how kind of ridiculous items you can pick up. But when you're playing it in a race setting, you want to cut off stuff like that just because you don't need it. Don't go in the store unless you have a shopping list already prepared.
And we are joined in the booth by our second place on stream finisher, DM Stewart. Hello.
Hello. Sorry, I was on a phone call.
Yeah, no worries. GG's.
Oh, I wish that hadn't been Full Clear Simulator.
You didn't get the tail. Not that it's inside.
And... oh... crack on the eye. But that plus 20% hit on the black belt meant go to 46. To me, at least.
So was 46 the break point for 12?
Yeah, 46 is the break point for 12.
At
plus 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was a standard black belt seed. I am very proud of myself. I only opened 12 chests. And some of those I only opened because level 1 magic was pains.
Level 1 magic was quite and everybody sort of had a different way of dealing with that, which is very interesting. And I would recommend that everybody go back and kind of watch and see kind of how the different ways people came up with on how we can handle that.
Yeah, I mean, if I had a white mage, I'd have just used that light axe.
Yep.
But I mean, that's the risk you take when you go black belt thief red black.
Yep.
I saw it was a lot of very close finishes.
Yeah. There was quite the grouping of finishes.
What was that, 2 seconds between us, Thavian?
Yep. A
think,
banana
Herbie
peel
and
was
I
all
had-
it needed.
We're like 1 second apart.
Yeah, which is almost no time considering sort of the way that timekeeping works in
Yeah.
randomizers, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was within about 10 minutes of Janigan.
Yeah.
So I'm very satisfied with.
He did open 2 less chests then.
Well, once again, I'd have opened 3 fewer chests if level 1 magic hadn't been garbage.
Yeah, it was pretty garbage. I don't blame anybody for that, just to be clear. But
what did you guys do to get through Garland?
The light axe
well,
with a white mage.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had
And
a
punch.
white mage and black mage. Black mage cast a lit. My white mage used the axe, punch and punch.
I took that light axe to Provoca, sold it, and bought lit 3.
That's a bit shocking.
Yeah, that's a valid strategy.
I don't know what I would have done without the white mage. Just a lot of punching. I followed Kumo's, did the same thing that Kumo did.
Well, I saw there was a silver sword in Corneria's shop. Because, again, I was looking for something that the black belt could use until Punch got online. So, I saw there was a silver +1 that was like 900, I think. So I went to convenient chests, and I'd also seen when I did a first try on Garland that there wasn't money in any of those chests, or at least not enough. So I figure, okay, the next convenient chests are the 3 in Matoya's closet, so I'll just get those. Go grab those, see if I get enough money.
Yeah, when I got to Provoca, I definitely had the, I was like, oh my goodness, finally a sweeper, and then I went over to get the pirates, and I had no charges of it. So then, started doing, I'm like, okay, well, thankfully I had the light axe, but I was so happy to get it, but I didn't have the levels to have level 2 magic yet, so that was a little scary. The pirates almost would have taken me down.
Thank goodness for that run off the reset. You could make it all the way to Provoca without an encounter.
Yep.
But I mean, that was I am team black belt, so these are my kind of flags.
yeah. So DM, I did ask the other runners before you were able to join us, but in lieu of sort of finalish thoughts, like what is one thing you're going to try and work on, either based on the seed or something you saw yesterday in the lecture, or kind of whatever?
I am always working on routing, my decision making and routing. I'm always working on improving that. I mean, these flags were pretty straightforward. These are the kind of flags I built for myself when I'm trying to practice black belt. So I have a reasonable. I'm one of those I'm relatively new to racing, not so much the randomizer, if that makes sense.
Yep, makes total sense, because it's the same with me.
So these are the kind of flags I build for myself when I'm practicing black belt. So I'm already kind of in the. I get the zen of these kind of flags. So the key is in routing and decisions.
Absolutely. So ADR, do you have
feel
any?
Like I routed that well.
I mean, everybody took a different route. I do encourage everybody to watch back. It's really, really great race to see. ADR, do you have anything for our ducklings here? All of us?
Well, I'd just like to say GG's to all of you, and keep playing the game, keep watching the videos. You can learn a lot by watching what the other players do, and have fun with it. That's ultimately what it's about. It's a game. It's supposed to be fun, and find a way to enjoy it.
Now that I think about it, I should have known that Corneria Locked and Elf Prince had to be shipping to now, and I should have just skipped them.
Yep. Makes sense.
And that's part of the getting better at routing, is remembering that zen that had to be what those were.
Well, I think it's time to go ahead and start wrapping up here. So, do any of you have final thoughts before we close the stream tonight?
One thing, thank you for RPG Limit Break for letting them use their channel, the podcast, the race. Thank you for all the runners and all the crew that volunteered to put this on.
Yeah, thank you for everyone who stepped up and helped get this all going, and everyone for watching.
Yeah.
Thanks a bunch to the crew. Thanks to RPG Limit Break for hosting us tonight. Thanks to the FFR community for putting these on, and especially Saracen and Luffy and Phoenix for the Duckling program, for managing the Duckling program.
Thank you, ADR, especially for stepping in so I could have a chance at competing in one of these.
But yeah, thanks. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I want to make sure to shout out specifically our restreamer 8th13th and our Jack and our J-Lo. Anyway, for helping us out tonight, making us look good here. We just kind of blather in the booth. So, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And if you all liked what you saw here, you'd like to come join the game and play it yourself, head on over to FinalFantasyRandomizer.com, where you can find links to the Discord, and you can generate some ROMs, play on some seeds, and play the game. So once you join the Discord, you can get alerts for any activities you're doing, a race, a VOD review announcement, or you can just join up, say, ping me to race, and join other players as they hop on. So that's FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. And again, thank you to everybody tonight. Thanks to RPG Limit Break. Have fun and have a good night. Good night.